You're listening to Opera Box Score.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Wherever you are, however you're listening, it's America's talk radio show about opera. It's Opera Box Score. I'm Weston Williams, joined by Oliver Camacho remotely, Matt Cummings, and Ashley Hardgrave. All right, this week, Maestro Enrique Mazzola goes inside the huddle. The Italian conductor just wrapped up performances of Massenet's Werther in Berlin, but his summer season continues stateside with debuts at the Grand Teton and Aspen music festivals before returning to Chicago for his other little gig. And then, in Listener Mailbag, a vocal coach and a sound tech walk into a bar, opera. Let's see what happens as someone experiences their first opera ever at Santa Fe. Plus, in the 2-minute drill, Peter Gelb puts his foot in his mouth, legally speaking, and a famous Sopranos foundation is being evicted for not paying rent. You have to wait for the drill to find out who, or you can scrub through the episode if you're impatient. I'm not your dad. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify. Click follow. On Apple Podcasts, hit the plus sign. Email us your hot takes by writing to mailbag@operaboxscore.com or upload a voice memo using the You Got Something to Say tab on our website, operaboxscore.com. However you contribute, you'll get an OBS beer coaster, an OBS lapel pin, and a #1 OBS fan foam finger just for sharing your own hot take. And, I'm sitting here. Oliver isn't here. I don't have to know a single thing about tennis this week, and it feels great.
I've been thinking of him every time my computer is like, tennis update. And I'm like, do you just think that I care about tennis because you've heard recordings of Oliver talking about tennis, and you think that that's me?
Yes, they're listening.
That is, of course, Matt Cummings on the same wavelength as me about tennis. Ashley Hardgrave, what is your tennis wavelength?
Absolutely nothing. I get my tennis news from Oliver, so...
We're all out of luck.
It's true. Me, on the other hand, I am currently in the same breath buying Bears preseason game tickets right before I fly to Los Angeles to see Jesus Christ Superstar at the Hollywood Bowl.
My God.
I think this sums me up as a person, honestly.
Pretty much.
I'm very excited to see friend of the show, Zachary James.
Yes.
I talked about this last week. Actually, we've talked about it for 2 weeks at this point. And I'm going to keep talking about it because I am very excited. I'm going to see the opening on Friday night.
If they don't release a recording of this, I am going to storm the Capitol. Capitol Records, that is.
Oh, there it is.
Let's talk some opera.
Huddle up. Let's go inside the huddle.
Last week, Enrique Mazzola concluded his tenure as principal guest conductor of Deutsche Oper Berlin with performances of Werther, starring Jonathan Tetelmann and Aigul Akhmetshina. On August 1st and 2nd, debuts at the Grand Teton Music Festival conducting music of Verdi, Bloch, and Tchaikovsky. Later this month, he makes another American debut with a semi-staged La Bohème at Aspen Music Festival starring friend of the show Matthew Polizzani. We caught up with him as he was repacking his luggage at his home base in Chicago, the site of his final summer gig, Sunday in the Park with Lyric on September 7th. Before we join Mazzola's conversation with Oliver, here he is with the Île-de-France National Orchestra in a rare bel canto aria by Vincenzo Fioravanti from Julie Fuchs's recital album, Mademoiselle.
Today, my guest is Maestro Enrique Mazzola. Welcome to Opera Box Score.
Thank you. So happy to be here with you.
It's a crazy day for you. I know you literally just got off of a plane from Europe. And
one of many planes, yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And tomorrow you are beginning the American portion of your work this summer, first at the Grand Teton Festival, and then a long residency in Aspen. So we'll try to cover some of this activity, but I'm curious to hear how Werther went. You just finished performances. Was that in Berlin? Werther?
In Berlin, Deutsche Oper.
Yeah. Where you are, your resident, your guest conductor there, right?
Actually, this has been the last concerts of my time as a principal guest conductor, so I finished my contract with this Werther, with Jonathan Tettelman, with Aigul Akimiecina. They've been fantastic. I mean, I don't think there is a possible better Werther in this moment, like cast. And the orchestra, despite being the end of the season, they were really super motivated. They played beautiful. And last but not least, how you are used to say, it was sold out.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
In July, people are selling out operas, long French romantic operas.
And sold out. This is really unbelievable. Well, it's a cast, it's the situation, many factors, but it was very beautiful to say goodbye to Deutsche Oper Berlin, seeing one of my audiences, yes, because of course I have, let's say, many audiences following me in the world, but Berlin is one of these. I mean, Berlin is not finished with Berlin. If this contract finishes my time as principal guest conductor, but I'm coming back to Berlin, for example, next season at the Staatsoper.
I had intended to ask you about Jonathan and Aigul because I'm a fan of both, but maybe the question is, why do the Berlin audiences care about Werther? Are they coming for Jonathan and Aigul and you, or do you think they're coming for Werther?
Probably both. The title was attractive. You know, Werther is a strange title because I think it is a title that should be in repertoire as, let's say, Rigoletto, but it isn't. In a way, is one of the peaks of French repertoire, and it is not in repertoire. And so that Werther is becoming a sort of a rarity now. So probably you're right. One of the reasons was, okay, we have a Werther here, and we have an exceptional cast. Let's go.
I know the answer to this question, but maybe for the audience, they should hear it from you. Why should the audience understand that you are, with a last name Mazzola, that you are passionate about Massenet?
Well, because you mean because I'm Italian?
Yes.
But I don't know. You know, Italian and French people, they love and hate each other. Let's say it's a relation of love and hate, which means that we are very near. Because I mean, when you are people that you love and hate at the same time, it means that you are very close to those people. And and there are many other factors. Yes, for example, I lived in Paris for many years. I was music director of a big symphonic orchestra in Paris. We were in a resident in the Philharmonie of Paris. I became French citizen. I was given the medal of Chevalier des Arts et des Lettres in France. So in a way, the French repertoire for me, it's close, almost like Italian repertoire. Yes,
I consider you to be at least from what I understand about your work, to be a specialist in bel canto and also in Verdi. We had a conversation a few years ago, and I learned that you're actually very passionate about Romantic French repertoire.
Yeah, you're right. But you know how weird is the opera world? I mean, there are some theaters that think, okay, you are a specialist of bel canto, we invite you for bel canto. There are other theaters, maybe they think I'm a specialist of contemporary opera, they invite me for contemporary. And then, for example, Deutsche Oper Berlin has always focused not only, but mainly focused my activity on French repertoire and writing always in my biography. Enrique Mazzola is one of the leading specialists of French repertoire in the world. Well, maybe after also a Meyerbeer cycle, after Hérodiade, Werther, and then this special niche that is the Italians in Paris. Yes, like for example, Les Vêpres Siciliennes, yes, by Verdi in the French version.
Well, I sort of am curious about your ideas about Meyerbeer, and if you think the American audiences are ready for Meyerbeer, or what do we have to do to develop the appetite for Meyerbeer?
Just do it. Just no, probably someone have to start to do it, because the mechanism of Meyerbeer operas is really fabulous, and in a way is one of the most complete composers ever. Yeah, so pure German, and he arrives in Italy and he learns to write the most beautiful bel canto, and then he moves to France, and actually he participates to the creation of a completely new genre, which is the grand opera, French grand opera. I consider Meyerbeer a genius that is still a little bit not recognized, a little bit forgotten, but really a genius of the 19th century opera.
Well, as you are, I mean, we're not going to talk about lyric opera because that's a whole other conversation. But as you are, making decisions about artistic direction of the companies you work with, do you see the potential to do Meyerbeer in the U.S., considering where we are right now in the state of opera in the U.S., where we're losing funding, audiences are shrinking and getting older, and we have to rely on doing the core repertoire and maybe, doing some of the more exciting new repertoire and trying to tell a lot of stories about why the new repertoire is important. Do you feel like composers like Meyerbeer will always be, just in waiting, because it really does, to me, I feel like they're so expensive and people don't know what they are yet?
Well, while you were developing this question, I was already thinking about 3-4 different ways to answer you. At least there are two very important answers to your very, very big question. The first is that, yes, you are right. In this moment, it's a little bit difficult to have this Meyerbeer Grand Opera in US. Why? Because number one is because these are very big operas, let's say 4 or 5 acts operas. So if you want to do in concert, it's a little bit difficult and long. And if you want really to stage them, it's going to cost a fortune, really, to do. So this is a little bit a problem. Another part of my answer is that exactly because we are in difficulties is that we have to, I wouldn't say explore, maybe offer more to our audiences. It's not when the difficulty raises that we have to do one step back. I'm a type of artist that when there is a difficulty, I do one step forward, because I don't want to live in fear. I don't want to live in worry. We have to be brave. So. The answer about Meyerbeer in America is it's a complex answer. Yes, there are many factors that make Meyerbeer possibly an important composer also for American market, but I will not give up on the idea.
In your answer, I was thinking about this match. I don't know if you watch tennis, but it was, I think, the U.S. Open finals between Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic. Maybe it was a semifinal. I don't remember, but it was a very important match near the end of the tournament. And Roger Federer had match point against Novak Djokovic. And instead of going for a safe return of serve, Novak Djokovic just went for it on a match point. He just swung at the ball and he hit a winner. And he ultimately won the match, and everybody was so shocked that he dared on a match point to take something so risky. It's better chances to play a safer shot and try to work your way back in, but just that one risky shot really changed the entire outcome. The attitude.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. It's the same, also in the micro world of a conductor, for example. You understand? Sometimes when I risk more conducting, yes, in a show. So maybe I push a tempo, yes, or I try to exaggerate an expressive moment is when you obtain the magic. But of course, sometimes there's a risk, and you have to be able to accept, and I may say also to manage the risk. Also, following your example, of course, you can risk with a sort of confidence that you will make it.
I want to get back to the idea of bel canto and Verdi, since those are the two arenas that I'm most familiar with your work, since I get to hear you conduct a lot in Chicago, also contemporary music. But can you, for the audience, just describe what it means to conduct a bel canto opera and maybe this middle period of Verdi? What are the challenges? I mean, I think I understand what the challenges are. And I feel like it'd be much easier if you were a pianist to like watch, the lips of the singer, or watch them breathe, and you just react and you place you place the chord, or you're doing an arpeggio, you place the last note, or you stretch and you feel the rubato in your hands. But when you're doing this with an orchestra, how is that more challenging, or is it?
Well. I have a lot to say about the rubato in bel canto, and I'm not sure there was a lot of rubato in bel canto. Let's apply a little bit of the Chopin rule.
Mm-hmm.
Let's remind. Let's have in our minds the Chopin rule means that with the left hand you play, for example, a chord. Mm-hmm. Eighth notes, tam, tim, tam, tim, tam. And with the right hand, you play super rubati. Now, a rule in Chopin, a general rule, of course, you can slightly break or slightly change, but it's a rule, is that the left hand goes in tempo and the right hand makes the rubato. And for me, Chopin is a belcantista, is a bel canto artist. And this makes also very clear to me the idea that in the challenge of performing bel canto, there is the importance of stability of tempo in the orchestra and the rubato-ish style of the singer on the orchestra. You know what is curious? For example, when I go to Germany, Germany is a country where all opera houses are repertoire opera houses. What does it mean? Is that every evening they play a different opera. How they solve the problem of doing a different opera with different artists every night? They just follow the singer. So what does it mean? That when you do, I don't know, Casta Diva, Norma, in Germany, the orchestra players tend to try to apply every single note of the accompaniment to the rubato of the singer. So if the accompaniment is ta ti ta ti, it becomes ta ti ta ti ta 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 ti ta ti ta ta. And I stop rehearsal and tell, no, we play in tempo, and the singer is navigating, fluctuating, sailing on this magic combination of minimalist rhythm and harmony that the orchestra create. And in Germany, it's very difficult because they are so used to try to make an accompaniment to all the nuances and rubati of the singers that they think that also in bel canto, it's like this. And it's very hard to explain them that it is not like this.
I've never talked about this topic with a conductor before, and I'm actually very surprised, because I feel like when I watch you in bel canto, I listened to your recording, for example, you did with the soprano. Is it Jessica Pratt? I forget, who you made a recording of bel canto arias with, some Rossini arias and Donizetti arias. Mm-hmm. Who is the soprano?
I don't remember. I did many recordings.
It's just, I will look it up and I'll remember. But I feel the stretch in
Julie Fuchs.
That's it. Is Julie Fuchs? Yeah. I feel the stretch, but maybe I'm going to listen more carefully now and hear if you are.
I mean, as in Chopin, of course, there is a little bit of stretch, but you understand, is the stretch on the rule, not is a stretch for the stretch. This is what I want to mean, yes, with this rule of the pulse, this thing of the pulse. Yes, I really feel. And also when I work with bel canto singers, I always tell them, please keep in mind that there was not a conductor when this opera was written. Who was the conductor? It was not the maestro cembalo. It was not the concertmaster. It was the singer.
Absolutely.
So the singer had the responsibility to keep everything together. So it was not possible. It was not possible to sing in a crazy way with a complete freedom of tempo. Of course, you are right. There can be a certain stretch if it's prepared, if it's studied, but a certain stretch, not a complete stretch of tempo.
Well, it's making me think that you are, after your concerts and Grand Teton Festival, you're going to be in Aspen. Will you be working with conducting students?
I don't know, maybe, probably, yes.
The main objective in Aspen is a bohème, and I don't know anything about the cast. Is Matthew Polenzani singing Rodolfo?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I don't see any other cast announced.
Yeah. It's young singers, yes.
Are they the singers in the program at Aspen?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Well, La Bohème is another thing. I mean, La Bohème is really there is something of bel canto in La Bohème, but it's absolutely not what we would call today a bel canto opera. Yes. Mm-hmm. So the stretch, the change of tempo, the sudden accelerando or rallentando is part of the style.
This performance of La Bohème at Aspen Music Festival is going to be just a concert version, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think with semi-staged, yes. Mm-hmm.
Will the orchestra be on the stage and the singers sharing the stage with them? Or are they in a pit?
I don't know yet. I want to be surprised by Aspen. Yes, I don't know.
I'm just thinking about this concert you did with Sondra Radvanovsky, this Puccini arias.
Yes.
This was a lyric opera earlier this year. And you're able to really just let the orchestra go for it because Sondra has the sound, to she can be heard. It's not for her. It's not a problem.
Let's say she's an important voice. Yes, it is Sondra. Yes, but still, that for example, now Werther in Berlin was in concert. Yes,
mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's more difficult because the balance is meant to be with an orchestra in the pit.
Exactly.
And so the orchestra on stage, there is always the risk to be a little bit too loud.
Right.
In general. So I'm very careful when the orchestra is on stage.
Right. Yeah, that's why I was curious about what the setup is like in Aspen, because we know Matthew Polenzani, he's going to be fine. But if the rest of the cast are younger singers, I find that this is a different challenge.
Yeah, but it will be my delizia. Yes, it will be my pleasure to shape a beautiful balance with the orchestra. Now the fact of the balance, can I be very direct for a moment? Yeah. The fact of the balance is a little bit a topic, a little bit forgotten by younger conductors. They are full of fire, full of beautiful intentions, musicality, talent, but there is no story to tell if there is no balance between orchestra and singers. So this is something I would like to work in future, for example, with a beautiful young generation of conductors to explain all the importance, the tricks, the art of the balance. How many times when I do the stage and orchestras, I turn to my assistants and they make me the sign, yes, okay, or no, it doesn't work, just to understand. And then they send me notes, and in the evening I write with, maybe I add a post-it, a small orange paper, just to remind me, okay, here I'm always a little bit too loud. It's very important, the balance. And well, it's something that sometimes is a little bit forgotten. Yes.
Well, I'm so glad that you are concerned about this on behalf of the young singers you're going to work with very shortly at Aspen Music Festival. Maestro Mazzola, I know that you've had a long day already and you have to repack your luggage because you're leaving it tomorrow. So thank you so much for joining us on Opera Box Score.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Our thanks to Luzi Media for putting us in touch with Maestro Mazzola. If you're near Jackson Hole, Wyoming this weekend, and why wouldn't you be, check out the Grand Teton Music Festival. Catch Maestro's debut in Aspen on August 19th at the Aspen Music Festival, or grab an extra lawn chair and join us at Sunday in the Park with Lyric on September 7th in Millennium Park. You could just bring a blanket, but I know for a fact that Oliver doesn't have the hip flexibility to sit on the ground. He's approximately 50 million years old.
I am so grateful that our city has such a dynamic character, being an ambassador in the form of Maestro Mazzola. It's, everything from the good vibes to the red frame glasses to his energetic and grateful posts that he does on social media. I think he's been a really nice addition of sort of energy and youth for the Chicago scene. And so I'm thrilled that he came to talk to us. How are you guys feeling about how he's doing so far?
I totally agree. I think it's nice to see an artistic director really carrying forward the legacy of Sir Andrew Davis and just the joy that he brought to being on the podium, being an arts leader in the community, and really giving back to the musical community of Chicago. I think that kind of connection to the city is something that you can't fake and really is going to be important as we try to attract audiences to Lyric. And it's definitely not for any lack of dynamism or excitement up on the podium too, because every concert or performance that I've gone to where he was conducting, what I think went really well. And so I'm excited to see what continues to happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he's one of those people who is kind of a chameleon as a performer. Like he has all these gigs around the world, but he doesn't lose sight of the fact that he's in Chicago working for a Chicago audience. I actually met him in person not too long ago. I guess maybe 6 months ago now, which I guess it's a while, but I met him in person, and the entire time he was talking about how much he loved his commute into the Lyric and like how he was on a first name basis with his bus driver and stuff like that. And like, that's the kind of energy I think you want out of any regional opera company. I think there's something so exciting about that. And yet he has the ability to jump from country to country and fully commit to whatever that audience wants and needs of him. And, speaking as someone who has the worst vision of anyone on the panel here, I do understand your glasses do become your brand. And I wish mine was as powerful as those red frames. Let's reach into the listener mailbag, but before we do that, make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, click follow on Apple Podcasts, hit the plus sign, find a friend who's remotely interested in opera, and hold them hostage until they listen to all of our episodes. You know the drill.
Yeah, you got something to say? Then yeah, all right, you can say something. This is Listener Mailbag.
What happens when a classical pianist and vocal coach takes a sound engineer to his very first opera, and that opera just happens to be at Santa Fe Opera? They record their reactions for their bestie, who happens to have an opera talk show. I am delighted to introduce you to two of my besties, Jimmy and Cody. Jimmy is a vocal coach. He's an outreach pianist for Lyric Opera Chicago, and he's also the artistic director of Chicago Gay Men's Chorus.
Humble brag.
Humble brag. He and I have been making music together for way too many years. God was a boy when we started. Cody is a sound engineer. He is a trade show technical director, and he can build an entire lighting rig on 2 cables and a prayer. I've seen him do it. But what he has not seen is an opera. So I asked them to, when they were going to be going out on their first trip to New Mexico, they were going to go and see Figaro at Santa Fe. And I asked them to record some reactions for us. I thought it would be super interesting because, a professional musician of many decades taking a first-time opera goer and getting their reactions. First of all, seeing Marriage of Figaro as your first opera, pretty good place to start. Santa Fe as your first opera, nothing to sneeze at.
Except the dry climate.
except for that darn dry climate, which they speak about a little bit. So what we're going to hear is a little bit of their thoughts from the lobby before the show, a little bit at intermission or halftime. Yes, they did put some sports references in. I was so proud. And then finally from the car on the way home.
Cheers.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hi, Cody. How are you tonight?
Good. How's it going?
Fantastic. We're at the Santa Fe Opera because we're on vacation in New Mexico. So we're here doing a little thing for our friend Ashley for her podcast.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. My background is as a classically trained pianist, and now I play across multiple styles. Cody, your background is?
I've done a little bit of music, a little bit of high school stuff, some stuff, but also mostly I do tech and more of a consumer than a...
Have you done any research on what this show's about?
No. I want to go in kind of just experiencing it from the beginning. After people talking about it, I've learned that I do know it's Mozart, and of course everyone knows the little Figaro line. I think that's in it, unless it's not real.
You'll find out.
Unless that's an embellishment. But no, I've
Same
done
character.
No research, but
that's okay.
I'm sure I'll go like, oh, I've heard that before, or I've heard that before.
What are your fears? What are your hopes? What are your dreams for tonight?
Oh my God. I don't know if I have any fears. Obviously, I've seen a lot of theater in general, a lot of music, but
and Jerry Springer the Opera does not count, for the record.
I don't know. Always the fears are, what if it's not good, or what if I'm bored, or if people are very passionate about the genre, and if I don't love it as much as some other people, this is the kind of group that we mad and be like, oh, you're an idiot or you're dumb, and I'm like, well, everyone likes different things, but I'm sure I'll appreciate the tech issues. I'm sure I'll appreciate the musicality of it. We've already seen a little bit of the stage. I'm like,
we snuck around.
I believe there's turntables.
So we have a little inkling on what time period it's set in.
Just not set in the original? Uh-oh. I'm learning in front of you.
We'll see. So yeah, we'll check in again at intermission. Cheers, Cody.
Cheers, Jamie.
We're at halftime.
Halftime. It's definitely in the middle.
They're singing athletes, so halftime, intermission. Intermission for hockey players. That works. It's all good.
What is going on?
They get two of those. Anyway, so we're checking in. What do you think so far, Cody?
It's very long. How long does it take to say, my girlfriend's in the closet?
There was a moment where I leaned over and I go, when they sing the same thing over and over, the words disappear. Like, they don't just keep doing this.
I did know that.
So that did happen.
Luckily, Maestro was in Spanish, and if you touch it, it switches to English.
Yes. The techie figuring out the tech. So, speaking of tech, someone who constantly has to deal with audio issues and microphones, and they're not using them. So what do you think? We're in the very back row of Orchestra Live.
Like the row behind us is the standing things?
And we can hear them.
I was going to ask if they were mic'd at all.
They're not mic'd at all.
Even the orchestra?
Even the orchestra.
Because I can hear that freaking harpsichord, which is the furthest thing away. Yeah, it's very acoustically wonderful. I would like a little more, but that's okay.
Then we would have to pay more to sit closer.
I don't speak the language anyways. Luckily, I can read it, no matter if they're loud or not.
What's your favorite part so far?
I mean, I'm enjoying Susanna a lot. She's highly entertaining. This production is a rotating stage, which is fabulous. They're doing a lot of things there. Favorite part? I mean, the voices are spectacular. I mean, even if they're saying very small things, there's a whole lot of music coming through, a whole lot of range, and you just have to sit in awe of the performers and what they're going through and how much talent they're putting out there. And there's some really funny parts where all of a sudden you're just like, oh, they're saying something dumb, like, I'm going to read the paper. I'm still going to read the paper. What's on the paper? And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, God, the paper. And then the page runs away and you're like, what?
Or how did you suddenly get so tall? Well, that's what jumping does to you. Right?
That's wrong. But funny. So, yes, definitely catching a lot of one-liners, a lot of fun.
So what are you hoping happens in the next 17 hours?
Well, I'm hoping everyone ends up at the page because he's freaking adorable. Oh, I'm sorry, they are adorable.
This Carabino is spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
Non se più was fast as Sorry that you had to bleep that. but it's fast. It was so fast.
Oh.
I was
Coming
absolutely
from you,
impressed.
which is impressive, because usually you're like, we could go faster.
Well, and Jimmy tempos tend to be fast, but this was fast. And
Nowhere napping
Carabino
either.
also. Well, no, but Carabino did ornaments on the recap at the end of Voi Que Sapete, which was very exciting for me, and I don't think anyone was understanding why I was like, "Whoo!" in the back row.
You definitely made a noise that I didn't understand why. I was like, what's going on here?
They added ornamentation on the recap, and that's not always done. Sometimes it's frowned upon in Mozart. Much more traditional and earlier music like Handel, but in Mozart, sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. It happened tonight, and I was very, very happy about it. So, I have other takeaways, but we'll save those for another night. So we're gonna finish our wine. Cheers.
Cheers.
And we'll see you after the show. So, Cody.
What in the hell happened? Oh my God.
How do you feel about the fact that he asks for forgiveness? Don't hit those people.
I'm exhausted, first of all. That's a marathon of music.
It is.
Marathon.
And you weren't even playing.
It's 12:06 and we started at 8:31 on the dot.
Yes. But, okay. He bends the knee and sings 2 lines of forgiveness, and all is well in the world. How do we feel about that?
I'm still waiting for the incestuous shit.
Oh yeah, we forgot to
fucking
talk
all
about
related to each other, and then they're not, and then suddenly mom and dad are there, and they're just making shit up as they go.
I mean...
And there's so many notes. Too many notes. Kidding, that's just an Amadeus reference.
Hey, you kept it with Mozart this time.
I try, and actually, so a lot of it was great. It was really fun. It's certainly long, but that's what opera is. I'm just annoyed that culture has taught me, especially Bugs Bunny, there was supposed to be a Figaro.
That is a different opera, but it is the same character.
Oh,
written
really?
by, that's Barbara of Seville. But, like, what was your favorite part?
Oh, there were a few. I did like. Oh, see now the names are just. There's so many names.
I can help with that.
Our cute little boy, girl.
Carabino.
Yes, was adorable the whole time.
Yeah.
Little hornball.
Well, I mean, you and I were teenage boys at one point.
That's
so
for sure. But we weren't dressing. We weren't dressing up like women to not get laid. That was kind of crazy. It was a lot of effort on his part to just not die.
Women too got laid, but whatever.
At least he didn't die. I totally thought he was going to die at the end. That's what I was waiting for.
No, it's a comedy. No one dies in comedies.
Oh my God.
You know this from Shakespeare. Any other favorite parts?
Oh, I don't have anything specifically was favorite because there was a lot. The ending, I actually think I enjoyed the third act the best. I think that had the most kind of going on. Because even though the fourth act speeds up,
he has to tie up all the loose ends.
But less and less happens. They're talking longer and longer as the music is faster and faster.
They're tying up loose ends.
It was fun.
Oh, and Lo Perduta was also fast as shit. Just saying. I mean, I lose things all the time, so I get that kind of energy. But they were on a schedule, and I'm not mad about it because it's 12:12 right now, and we just left. So I'm glad we went. It was a wonderful experience. I am very happy that you made it all the way through, and we dressed up a little bit.
Just collar.
Criticism, quick one. They made the little disc that rotates. What's that called?
Oh, the turntable?
The turntable was the house for almost the entire show. And then when you weren't on the turntable, that was the outside garden until, of course, Act 4, where everything takes place in that garden. And so they turned the house around and pulled it all the way back and pulled some of the things on. And I was like, well, see, you didn't honor everything you told me about what's going on right now.
I did like the very beginning. Every character comes in on the turntable as the opening.
Yeah, they were all presented during the overture.
And then they all disappear, and then they start. No one has sang yet.
At the very end, they also were in their original spots singing the finale.
There's some cool things there.
And they did some creative footwork so that they weren't singing upstage. It was.
The theater space is awesome. It's fun watching that start as the sun goes down.
And they also had a pin spot from the roof, which pre-roof would not have been a possibility. There's that.
Very bright and very
bright.
Blue LED strong.
They used it in Javinta, and then they used it again for the Countess and whatever aria comes after that. And I was like, you put it up there, you might as well use it more than once.
It was very nice to have that much live audio, not auto-tuned. Everything was live. There wasn't any sound reinforcement. We heard whispers. We heard footsteps on stage. I don't know if that's just the space or,
Well, I think the walls and the roof help.
But we were really far away. We're like the back row.
Yeah. And they're like creating the vocal performance and
they
doing
did
all
the theater things that were important.
They're vocal athletes. They really, really are. For 3.5 hours. So, that's the thing. This isn't like a 10-meter sprint or whatever there are. 100 meter sprint. I don't know. Ashley does the sports thing.
Is this right? Did we do it good? Did we do good?
We'll see. Bye.
Special thanks to my dear friends, Jimmy and Cody, for playing along with me on their Wild West adventure. Fun fact, gentlemen, not days after seeing this performance at Santa Fe, they went and saw another seminal moment in music where they saw Barry Manilow in Salt Lake City.
They've got the bug.
Well, we can save that for our other podcast, Barry Manilow box score. For now, let's move on to the 2-minute drill.
This just in. The 2-minute drill.
All right, listen up. Here's everything you need to know about what happened in Operaland this week.
We literally warned you, Pete. Anna Netrebko's team has filed a supplemental complaint against the Metropolitan Opera and Peter Gelb, addressing recent defamatory statements. The complaint was filed after Gelb went on a media blitz in Austria and Ukraine, making new claims about Netrebko and her relationship with Putin. Gelb also criticized the Palm Beach Opera for hiring the soprano and said it was an unfortunate decision.
Estonia National Opera has ended its relationship with Jose Cura due to his recent scheduled appearances in Russia. An Otello performance at St. Petersburg Mariinsky Theater was announced for July 16th, but, according to Cura's representative, this was an error and without his consent. Cura released his own statement, saying, "As a free citizen committed to peace, I firmly reject all forms of violence, invasion, or aggression between nations. I reject any association with political positions alien to my person, trusting that one will be able to distinguish between a cultural activity and a reductionist reading of events."
Republican lawmakers have moved to rename the Opera House at the Kennedy Center after Melania Trump, since apparently they have nothing better to do. The proposal was passed as a part of the process to fund the Department of the Interior, that's how you know it's a good proposal, but will require approval from the full House. Representative Shelley Pingree, the ranking Democrat from Maine, said of the amendment, quote, "It seems outrageous to me. Does the president plan to rename the whole Kennedy Center after himself?" Survey says, yep. Just yesterday, House GOP member Bob Onder introduced a bill to strip the Kennedy Center of the Kennedy and designate it the Donald J. Trump Center for the Performing Arts. Cool.
Smells good. Not that stuff, what I'm about to tell you. The Maria Golegina Foundation has announced a new perfume, Divina. The fragrance is described as not simply a fragrance. It is a vibration made visible, a hymn suspended in time. No word at press time on what suspended hymns actually smell like.
Philadelphia's recently closed Macy's, with its one-maker organ, will come back to life from at least September through the holiday season with Opera Philadelphia's Pipe Up program. The initiative comes on the heels of a fundraising campaign to bring back the holiday attractions that took place inside the former department store. According to Opera General Director and friend of the show, Anthony Ralph Costanzo, the Pipe Up series is still in the planning stages, but will feature partnerships with local performance groups. He went on to say, "We're doing this to look at new business models. How does a nonprofit and an arts organization thrive in today's world? How are we going to get people to engage with our product?"
A court in Barcelona has ordered the eviction of the Montserrat Caballé Foundation from an apartment where the late singer's brother, Carlos, lives. The property owner has filed a complaint for non-payment of rent since 2023, amounting to 41,000 euros. El País reported that Caballier's lawyer has attempted to temporarily suspend the eviction, citing that Mr. Caballé is in his 80s and without alternative housing. This is not the first time the Caballé family has faced legal problems. In 2014, Montserrat Caballé admitted to having defrauded just over €500,000 by falsely declaring that she resided in Andorra rather than Barcelona.
The National Youth Choir of Northern Ireland is facing closure after the Arts Council of Northern Ireland declined to renew the choir's funding. The funding loss is about £60,000 and makes the continued running of the choir completely unviable. In an email to alumni members, they noted that the 2025 summer courses and concerts would mark their final public appearances.
In major awards news, Opera America has announced the 2025 Opera Hall of Fame inductees. This year's recipients include baritone Donnie Ray Albert, librettist, friend of the show, and hardest working man in show business, Mark Campbell, mezzo-soprano Denise Graves, arts leader Christopher Hahn, philanthropists Susan F. and William C. Morris, philanthropists Bernard and Barbara Osher, and friend of the show, director extraordinaire Francesca Zambello.
Crunching the numbers, congrats to Seraphic Fire and friend of the show, Patrick Dupre Quigley. Said SF in a FB post, "We're honored to share that we've received a generous $250,000 grant from a private foundation. While the donor wishes to remain anonymous, their impact will be felt across our entire season. This gift is a game changer for Seraphic Fire."
On the disabled list, Marina Monzo has withdrawn from the remaining performances of Figaro at Santa Fe. And guess who's stepping in? Friend of the show, Eileen Perez.
Exit stage right English tenor David Rendell and father of friend of the show, Hugh Montague Rendell, has died at age 76. Rendell sang at Glyndebourne for nearly 30 years in various roles. Said the festival in a statement, "David started with us in the chorus before quickly rising to take on a wide range of principal roles, including Tom Rakewell, Gabriele Adorno in Simone Boccanegra, and the title role in Otello. Our thoughts are with David's family and friends, especially his wife, the mezzo-soprano Diana Montague, and their 4 children."
Alexander Bernstein, the son of Leonard Bernstein, has died at 70. Bernstein was a champion of education, particularly in music. He served as founding chairman of the Leonard Bernstein Center for Learning and was president of Artful Learning Incorporated, which sought to empower educators to use the arts to encourage and sustain a love of learning for all students.
German conductor, pianist, and bass baritone Michael Leon has died at 60. Leon made his first appearance on stage in small roles at Nuremberg State Theater before becoming an ensemble member at Coburg State Theater. Leon sang a number of roles, gaining acclaim for his interpretations of Hagen and Wotan in The Ring Cycle.
Conductor and tenor Michele Spadacino has died. A bel canto specialist, Spadacino oversaw the American premieres of several lesser-known Donizetti operas, and founded Opera Bel Canto Washington, as well as Opera Camerata of Washington. As a tenor, he performed at Washington National Opera, San Francisco Opera, New York City Opera, Boston Opera, and Wolf Trap.
Opera translator and librettist Maggie Stearns has died at 89. She had little to no experience with opera before taking on the position of national press representative for the Opera Theater of St. Louis, but remained with the company for nearly 40 years. Stearns made translations of La Bohème, Ariana, Hippolyta et Arcie, and Madame Butterfly, and wrote her own libretto from scratch for Paul Schoenfield's The Merchant and the Pauper.
And on this day, July 29th, couple of performances, the first kind here. 1786 brought us the first performance of Grétry's Le Mariage d'Antonio in Paris. The Marriage of Antonio, not The Marriage of Figaro, point of order. 1802 brought us the first performance of Méhul's Les Trésors Supposés ou Les Dangers d'Écouter aux Portes in Paris. And 1818 brought us the first performance of Carafa's Berenice in Syria in Napoli.
And to take us home a few days, the birth kind, that is, German composer and teacher Johann Thiele was born in 1646 in Nuremberg. Baritone Apollo Granforte was born in 1886 in Legnano, which is in Verona. He created the role of Minicrate in Mascagni's Nerone, an opera that we've all heard. Hungarian-born American operetta composer Sigmund Romberg was born in 1887 in Nagykanizsa. 1899 was the birth of Austrian-based Ludwig Weber in Vienna. He created the role of Holsteiner in Friedenstag, an opera by Strauss that we've all definitely heard and love. Greek composer Mikis Theodorakis was born in Chios in 1925. German tenor and conductor Peter Schreier was born in Meissen in 1935. Happy birthday to Austrian baritone Bert Weichel in Vienna, trying to trip me up saying baritone Bernd. 1942, not a great time to be in Vienna, but 1963, it was a great time to be in Minsk if you were the Borodina family, as we wish happy birthday to Russian mezzo-soprano Olga Borodina.
And that is your 2-minute drill.
That was Olga herself in the, in my opinion, way more interesting Come At Me Bro, Dalila aria, Amour vient aider ma faiblesse. I think that this performance was from La Scala, but I could not find definitive proof of that. But I do know that the orchestra was conducted by Gary Bertini.
Let's start off with the little "I told you so," but it doesn't make us happy that we told you so.
We're not mad, Peter. We're just disappointed.
We know you listen religiously to this podcast, but man...
And why wouldn't you?
Did we call it or what?
Can you take a week off of being Messica Simpson? Enough, Pete. Enough. I mean, listen, you will find me... If you can't say something nice about Anna Netrebko sit next to me, like, absolutely, I'm here for it. But also, they have money in legal fees. So, like, Pete, enough. Honey,
just wait,
enough.
though, until his lawyer, Kathy Bates as Matlock, finds proof that this happened. Because the truth is an absolute defense, as the good wife taught me.
I would die.
Against defamation, that is.
Coincidentally, we are not legal experts and should not be treated as lawyers.
I have watched The Good Wife many times, Weston.
And I serve as Opera Box Score's chief legal correspondent. But you're right. None of us are allegedly lawyers.
Yeah, I do know that saying the word allegedly basically gets you out of jail free. So I'm glad we said it.
Peter, take notes.
Speaking of Netrebko and other canceled performers, the Jose Cura thing is a little... Yeah. I mean, let me see if I can get this straight. So Estonian National Opera ended its relationship with Jose Cura because he's going to Russia.
But he might not actually be going to Russia because that contract wasn't real.
Yeah.
But he doesn't like that they would have canceled him if he were going to Russia.
Okay.
I think.
That makes sense. I mean, it sounds like there might be some needs for some allegedlys on both sides of this. But yeah, obviously, like going to perform in Russia, you know, I could see why the Estonian National Opera wouldn't want to be part of that. But if it's a mistake, that certainly is a weird situation.
Well, and I think there were also some little nuggets about how the handful of things that he has said publicly previously to this moment weren't as firm as someone who considers himself to be a true ally of the not Russian side of this conflict would
Speaking
want
of Anna
them to
Netrebko, am I right?
Yeah. Especially where he says that someone should, quote, be able to distinguish between a cultural activity and a reductionist reading of events. Like, that kind of makes it sound like he thinks this whole kerfuffle over people singing in Russia is made up, which I don't know that I'd agree with.
Passive meet aggressive.
I know. Well, regardless, it's made Oliver sad, and he wants everyone to know that he's mourning, because it's no fun when, quote, to quote him, a formerly hot but consistently brooding type is revealing his lack of empathy, if that's how we can generously characterize this. Thank you, Oliver, for allegedly.
Sorry. Did we ever expect hot brooders to actually give a rip about anybody else's feelings? I do not think so.
I mean, I think that hoping that they're going to is part of the fun, that you then get let down when they don't.
Yeah. Oh, a man letting you down and disappointing you? Go on.
Well, you know who's not going to be let down? Anyone in the audience in Santa Fe.
That's
Heck
true.
Yes, Eileen.
Wow, we're on fire tonight.
It's going to be delightful. Yes, good transition. And so Oliver mentions the only reason Eileen is available is because she just sang a recital at Santa Fe and was probably hanging around while her husband Solomon is collecting 2 fees this summer as Hundik and Colina, reminiscent of the last season when Rachel Wells Sorensen agreed to step in for the indisposed Teresa Perotta as Donna since she was already there as Marceline. So, way to go, everybody. Right place, right time.
Well, since I'm here.
I mean, listen, I've got a nail appointment and then a hair appointment, and then I've got time for Susanna after. Or is she singing Countess?
I'm sure she's singing Countess. You know,
yeah,
who doesn't
okay.
just
So I'll be
have
done with that at
Porgiamo ready to go?
4:30, and then I can Porgy by 9. Totally, I'm in. Book it.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll hear updates from Oliver. He is currently in Santa Fe and not at a tennis court.
Oliver himself, the conductor of the Eileen Perez train. He has been
True.
He done been Perezin this whole time.
I mean, she's great. I get it. And you know, Solomon Howard as well. I mean, what a power couple. I love it. I think one important lesson for us all to learn from this 2-minute drill is you got to pay your rent, folks.
Woof.
You got to do it.
Wow, we should write an opera about that. A rock opera.
Ugh. But everybody's got to be sick with something.
Yeah.
And it's got to be a mysterious disease that nobody knows that much about it yet. But yeah, once we do that and we have a lot of allegory, it'll be great. Yeah, oh my God. But it's so sad. I mean, it's, again, speaking of Messica Simpson, but also this poor guy is like in his 80s and has no other like housing options. But also you haven't paid rent in 2 years. Woof. Woof. Again, I say woof.
Yeah. I mean, you know, as we said in the 2-minute drill, the Caballés are not necessarily strangers to this kind of situation. I certainly hope that he can be fine.
Allegedly,
not allegedly. We don't have to say that.
Well, we on him, not on her. She did admit that she didn't pay taxes to Spain.
This is legally in court.
She sure did.
And now the coup de grace, the crown jewel of the 2-minute drill case, WTF at KC today. We might have to change that acronym, Ashley. I'm devastated.
It's so much. Yeah. So the news of the week on the Kennedy Center tip was this, hey, let's rename the Opera House after Melania, which we all took as a personal offense. And then yesterday, that rando House GOP member was like, hey, let's just rename the whole thing after Dear Leader. I can't. I don't have thoughts on that. What I do have thoughts on
beyond parody.
When the news broke about possibly naming the Opera House after Melania Trump, I did text my fellow OBSers and I asked each of them to come in with a Melania-themed opera title. And baby birds, they did not disappoint. I have the texts in front of me and I read. Okay, I say to them, for those recording next week, let's bring in an opera title. Weston Williams, hot out the gate. Lady Melania of the Columbia District.
I was very proud of that one.
That was very good. I came in with Girl of the Golden Be Best.
Which I love.
Followed up with Teatro alla Melania. Very good, very good. And then Matt Cummings just kills me. He kills me. Peleas e Melanisande, then Esclar Melania, and then Mel non let's go. I can't. I am so angry.
I would like the record to reflect that the next day I did come back and say that Esclar Melonde is a better pun.
Esclar Melonde. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Let's see. Weston comes in with Louise. That one's a thinker. Weston comes in with Luisa Melania. We've got a few more here. Okay. La Battaglia de Legnana. Legnana, excuse me.
I also would like to pause to say that we are inviting George to make 5 Handelania puns.
Absolutely. You're welcome back on the show anytime. And then possibly the last 2 coming in clutch from Mr. Cummings is Melulu.
Melulu is so good.
Melon la Diable.
Incredible. We also want to hear your Melania opera puns. You can send them to us, mailbag@operaboxscore.com, or you can send them to our website, operaboxscore.com, and use the You Got Something to Say page. But right now, it's time to wrap this show up.
Good call, bad call on Opera Box Score.
Good puns, bad moves by the political administration. That's how we end each one of our shows. Wow, that was rough. Okay, let's start with Matt Cummings.
This is like a bad call for me, but I will say it's a good call, which is that I am like so hooked on this season of The Gilded Age. It is the most like, there are not adjectives lurid and like ostentatious enough to describe just how bonkers I find this show to be. A show whose thesis is, what if rich people were the good ones all along? Who dares to look at American history and say, what if we had more class stratification? But who just gives its character actresses and theater legends home run after home run to deliver of ridiculous dialogue. I'm so sorry for the Third Street daughter. They're really giving her the short end of the stick. I'm not going to spoil this week's episode in case you're behind, but let's just say that you're not going to see what happens in the last second coming, and that's part of the problem. I actually guffawed.
Oh, you guffawed, did you?
Guffawed.
A full guffaw.
Guffawed.
Ashley Hardgrave.
Listen, so we did lose a couple of people in sports this week. The news just broke around Sandberg. And then in the middle of last week, we lost someone sports adjacent in the form of Hulk Hogan. And I am not going to get into that. I'm not going to ruin anybody's childhood, but just know that I'm on the right side of history and thinking that man was what? Trash. One of the reasons for that is because he trashed his daughter's music career. And so what I would like to encourage everyone to do is revisit sweet little Brooke Hogan's 2006 hit About Us. You should stream it on Spotify so she can get up the views. And then what it also hits, it's a great song. Paul Wall is excellent. Somebody needs to call Brooke, call Paul, get him back in the studio, and give us some more bangers. Justice for Brooke Hogan.
You can really mix it in with your Tom Lehrer playlist. I have a bad call, and that is the New York Times waiting a very long time to pick up on a story we talked about months ago, which is, of course, the fact that the new Hamburg Opera House is being funded by Klaus Michael Kühne, which is unusual because that's not state funding in and of itself, but also the fact that Klaus Michael Kühne is old money, and by old money, I mean money from the period approximating 1930, 1940.
So not the Gilded Age.
Not the Gilded Age at all. A very ungilded time for most people. But I do want to shout out this article. It's about, the ethics of Nazi collaboration money in the opera world, how unusual a story this is. And even though we did cover it in great detail, New York Times, before you got to it, I will admit that they have a couple of extra resources in there. So check out that article. It'll be linked at our website as usual. That is it for this week's edition of America's Talk Radio Show about opera. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Get your voice heard and find links to stuff we've talked about at our website, operaboxscore.com. That is also where you can put your money where our mouths are. Give back to the OBS using the Support the Team tab. Your announcer is Norm Waddell. Your creative consultant is Oliver Camacho. And your audio editor is me. The executive producer of the OBS is George Cedarquist. For co-hosts Matt Cummings and Ashley Hardgrave with guest Enrique Mazzola, I'm Weston Williams, asking you to continue the conversation about opera as you lawyer up after trash-talking a problematic soprano. We're back with an all-new show next week when Oliver will bring an interview from Santa Fe. We don't know who, but it'll be exciting. Plus, you get more opera headlines, more hot takes, and more Melania puns. Join us.